The 2019 recession, is it real? Tell me, is it real?
Yes.
Yes, it's real.
Well, actually, I think it started before 2019.
It did. Recessions a lot of times will start months and months, quarters before the government ever says we're under recession. But the girl's been reading a bunch of articles on recessions and how it's affecting adversely different trucking companies. So,
well, I have an article here
from CDL Life.
It does not say we're in a recession.
I say it.
However, we're truckers. How many trucking companies have closed this year? CDL Life, second trucking company, announces shutdown in 24 hours. And this was published August the 28th of 2019. Georgia-based trucking company has announced they're closing down permanently. The news comes within hours of another major trucking company closure. And I'll paraphrase. You don't want to hear me read the whole thing. Ellenwood, Georgia-based trucking company, Ready Trucking, is going to close on August 30th permanently. It was confirmed by the company's Google listing and by an employee. They have 91 drivers, 103 power units. Company started in 1968. It's a second-generation family-run business. And the news of Ready Trucking shut down came the same day that reports began surface of the closure of Denver-based company HVH Transportation.
HVH. We know that company.
They left over 300 drivers out of work. So far, 2019 has seen multiple trucking companies, both large and small, close, including Falcon Transport, LME, and NEMF. There's actually been a lot more because I think Snyder Furniture,
Final Mile,
whatever something like that. They do furniture moving, like into little stores and stuff. So they acted like. But there's been other ones too that aren't listed there.
The list will continue to grow week over week, month over month, as we're going to see. Recession is just part of the business. It will make some people, break some people, and totally put people in positions that they never knew they were going to be in a year ago. But change is good. Okay, I started predicting this recession about 16 months ago. Today is September the 2nd, 2019. And it was around April of 2018 when I started predicting it. It wasn't a matter of I have smarts or anything like that. It was just a matter of market trends and watching trends and knowing how history works. Most of the people in our niche was not owner-operators during the last recession. A few was, not very many. So, as of today, there are technically 9 countries that are on the verge of recession. Germany, UK, Italy, Mexico, Brazil, Argentina, Singapore, South Korea, Russia, and Japan has been in a recession for over 20 years. Japan's been in a recession for 20 years because they did exactly what America did in 2008, which is artificially prop up everything. Now, artificially propping up the stock market will come into play in several ways, because you're going to see that as the government plays with interest rates and stuff, that like right now, this week they dropped the interest rate by 0.25%, which is not a good thing because it's artificial inflation of inflating everything. Okay, but what I did is right here, I'm going to, Italy actually declared a recession several weeks ago. So right here, I will insert a picture of the DAT board, okay? This is the DAT board in the last year. You're going to see that spot loads are down 26%. Spot to truck loads, they're up 12%, but van loads to trucks is down 25%. That's quite a bit. Now you're going to look over at flatbeds at 49% down. This is normal in a recession. Flatbed loads just totally crash because building goes down. Now you're gonna, I will show a correlation between the DAT board and these other statistics as I go. Reefer loads are down 30%. Now, yes, everyone's going to eat, so these loads are still going to, you're still going to be able to make money. But this is year to date. This is from 2018, September 2018, to today, September 2019, that they're down. Now, if you look at this insert, you will see that the GDP is between 2000 and 2019, where we're at in 2019. The GDP is slightly above where the government would like to see it. Now remember, we can't trust anything the government has to say, right? But in the next graph, you're going to see the growth of real GDP has slowed to 2.1% in the last year. Now, if you look at the graph at 2008-9 era, you'll see where it tanked. Okay, it tanked. It tanked in, August or something like that. It started tanking, then it revived itself for a round, and then it really tanked, okay? Now, you're going to see a correlation in 2011 and another one in 2015. Those were slight drops for one quarter. Now, in 2018, it still looks pretty steady. It's overall down, but it still looks steady. The next graph is manufacturing activity and the way it looks, okay? You'll see in the graph, you got industrial production is in blue, and manufacturing index is in red. It is overall a down market. Okay, let's skip on through to consumption continues to pull the economy. All right, now this graph right here shows disposable income and consumables. Another one that is down. Correlate it with 2008, and you see where it rises. It never rises back to the same level that it was at before. All right, consumer confidence is actually up. Now, that's a plus. But when we're talking about consumer confidence, we're talking about the unknowing. As people start realizing what's happening, they start pulling back their spending, which perpetuates a cycle of failure. This is natural. It happens every 7 to 8 years. Now, overall spending is very sluggish. Equipment investment and capacity utilization is way down. That means purchases of new trucks, purchases of Caterpillar, purchases of all of these high dollar items. If you look back a year and a half ago, you'll see that GE sales tanked. I mean, they just tanked. And that is indicative of a recession to come. Anytime that happens. Okay, the housing stats really show a story. If you look at overall housing, building is down, demand is down. Multi-family units is way up on this graph, and that shows that people are afraid to buy houses right now, so there are being multi-family units built that people are moving into and renting. That's, it's a very important indicator, actually. Home sales, if you look at this graph, is another indicator. They're very lackluster for single-family homes. I mean, way down. From 2006, they're like 50% down. That's a huge deal. Okay, here is a a graph of net exports. Now, look at this graph closely, and you'll see that in 2009, they sunk, okay? But then they started an up and down regiment. Up and down, up and down, up and down. And then, but for the last 3 years, net exports are a negative down, not an up. Now, tariffs wasn't enacted at that point in time, so that's not part of it. Now, oil prices is a whole different thing. Okay, I invest heavily in oil, and I will continue to invest heavily in oil. But if we look at the graph on oil, oil prices do one of two things. But the calculations for oil there's a lot of different factors that come into play. Generally, the government will manipulate the price of oil during going into a recession to keep prices low because they want us to keep traveling, right? So they try to keep prices low. At some point during that recession, they'll escalate, and they usually escalate quite highly. Now, in our niche, that's no big deal because we will take that extra fuel surcharge and make money with it, right? But you can't use that as a real economic indicator. So these are the current statistics on September the 2nd, 2019 for what's going on with the economy. Now, in these times of recession, you will see a lot of companies buying each other out and merging. Here is a company that has taken recessions to the next level and has seriously done a lot of good for themselves.
So, according to Globe Newswire, Heartland Express has acquired Millis Transfer Incorporated and related companies. They actually purchased them with cash.
They always
all
purchase
of their
with
debt
cash.
with cash, so they are already solvent even after buying them.
Every purchase they've made in the last 8 years has been in cash, actually.
It's very smart.
It is.
We should be impressed. If you're not, you should be.
I always look at that when working for a company. If you're looking to work for a company, is who's doing cash business.
They they got 11 terminal locations, 5 MTI driver school locations. Millis and related entities generate approximately $152 million in total revenue, and the operations were still profitable. The value of the transaction was approximately $150 million, including the payoff of all assumed debt. After the transaction was all cash except for approximately $750,000 in Heartland stock. The purchase agreement contains customary terms and conditions, including working capital and other purchase price adjustments. The transaction is expected to be accretive to Heartland's earnings in the first full quarter of operations.
See, it's not all bad news for somebody.
They bought them. It's still a profitable company at the time, and if Heartland's profitable and in the red now, then
you too can work your business this way. This is the kind of time when you start acquiring other things, right? Or going broke, or go either way.
Yeah, it really depends on how you've got everything set up. You can acquire things that... It's just like if you're at home and you're not driving a truck. I've told you a million times, you can tell around here when a recession's hitting or times are getting hard because there's a boat for sale, a four-wheeler for sale, that SUV or second or third car for sale.
Everybody's Harley Davidson hits the sidewalk.
Yes, the Harleys are out in full force.
For sale.
It's the same in business.
Coming at you later with more Trucking News.